Hi, I'm Sherry Simmons, and I'm here with my mother.
I'm Jan Simmons.
Recently I had a client ask me, how do I know if I'm spending too much time on social media? And I thought that was a really good question.
It is a good question. I think that it's an area that needs to be explored a little bit. Um, when you were in session, I was at a restaurant, and I was looking around at the couples sitting at the booth, and both of them were looking down and they were looking at their phones. I saw a family sitting at another booth, and the child was on the iPad. Both parents were, one was on his laptop and one was on their cell phone, and there was no communication going on at all, no contact, nothing.
Yeah, in a lot of ways, I think we've become a society that isn't necessarily teaching the younger generations how to engage in healthy conversation with each other, how to look at each other in the
Right.
face, how to have eye contact. Um, the client's question got me thinking. Oh, sorry,
Right.
go ahead. What were you going to say?
Well, I was going to just say, how do we know when too much is too much?
Yeah, that's such a good question, and that was exactly what this client asked, and it got me thinking. How do you gauge in your life if anything is too much, whether it be social media, whether it be binge watching TV, too much wine, too much exercise, too much work. I mean, any of those, too much mayonnaise. I mean, anything if it's used in excess could be damaging. And
Yeah.
and so I don't know. One of the things that I think about when we think about this topic is to ask the question, how balanced is your life? Think about it this way. If you have 4 hours from the time you get home to the time you go to bed, it might be worth looking at and assessing how much of that 4 hours is spent doing one thing. If 80% of the 4 hours is spent just glued to TikTok videos or glued to the internet in some way, your life might be out of balance. Now, if we do that occasionally for a night, okay. But if we're doing it every night, we're pretty off balance. It'd be the same way with wine. If we're drinking a glass of wine or a beer at night, that's one thing. Five, six, seven, eight beers or glasses of wine is a whole nother ball game, and it really tips the scales in terms of balanced or unbalanced.
So it really can be an addiction.
Oh, I mean, brain scans have showed that the same centers of the brain, the same light up, the same chemicals are released in our bodies when whether we're addicted to working out or social media. I mean, that the same responses are ignited in the body.
So you could say that even media is a form of escape. You're escaping something, whether it's addressing the bills that you need to pay or
Yeah,
right.
that's another great question to ask yourself. After the first one, is my life in balance? The second one might be, what am I avoiding or
Wow.
escaping with the obsession with the internet or the videos or the drinking or the working out? Are you in touch with your feelings and emotions? Are you engaging with relationships and people in your life? Are you engaging in activities? Or is it a form of escapism for you?
I hadn't thought about this, but I, I live downstairs. Uh, and so I'm alone except for you being upstairs. And I'll watch TV, I'll be watching a show. As soon as that commercial comes on, I pick up my phone and I look at Amazon, or I'll play solitaire real quick. Now, some of it is I am trying to avoid the commercials because I hate them. But I'm sitting here thinking right now, am I trying to avoid just being quiet for a moment?
Yeah, we often don't know or have a practice in our society of just sitting with ourselves, our thoughts, our emotions, just see. I mean, that's what meditation does is it's not so much about relaxation. It is about an awareness of just what do we feel? What do we think? What hurts in our bodies? What is our body telling us that we might be ignoring? It's those moments that we get clarity about things in our lives and uh, have a better sense of what we feel and what our action should be. So yeah,
Wow.
good point.
Yeah. And I think that I would be better served, for instance, in my own life, to, I can mute the commercial
Yeah.
and just sit with me for a moment. Let my mind stop for a moment from
Yeah.
what I'm watching on TV while the commercial. I can go back to
Right.
the movie when the commercial's over, but it wouldn't hurt me to just be quiet for a minute and be with my thoughts.
So with that, here's the challenge. Can all of you, I'm going to include myself in this, limit the amount of time that you are engaged in some form of escapism, whether it be social media, um, solitaire, whatever it is. Can you go from 3 hours to one?
That would be a challenge.
Can you use those other couple of hours to just journal and sit with yourself a minute, see where you assess yourself, where are you at in life? Is what you're doing working? Are your beliefs working for you? Those kinds of things. And if you can't, then that may be an indicator of getting some help, talking to a therapist, calling a
Right.
friend, asking the people that you live with if they think you're imbalanced.
Yeah, exactly. An activity for that 2 hours on the phone, if that's what you've got to do to answer emails, and then an hour playing a game with the family.
Right.
To start that interaction a little bit more. I still have a granddaughter that is doing her schooling at home.
Mm-hmm.
On her computer, and I'm thinking, goodness, if she did not have family activity, she wouldn't have anything, you know. So you've got to think about your children that might be doing their homework online, doing maybe even their classwork still online, being homeschooled. They've got to have that human interaction as well. So that should be a driving force too, to get us to put our technology, put our electronics down,
Right.
and interact a little bit more.
Yeah.
Here's to a challenge, right?
Here's to a challenge. I think I might add one more thing to that, and that is if you do have kiddos or a partner or roommate that you live with, I might suggest spending some intentional time at dinner, just checking in. Maybe no phones are allowed, especially if you've got kids, for that dinner hour, and allowing conversation to unfold. What was your happy crappy of the day, or what was your best memory of the day, or what's something you're proud of the day, to really teach kids how to engage in those social face-to-face interactions.
I wonder, since COVID, if where we have been more isolated and on our electronics a little bit more, I wonder if we have gotten away from the talking about the happy crappy and just enjoying live conversation with each other. I do wonder if we've gotten away from that some.
Absolutely. Well, we have a challenge. I'm going to do it tonight. I'm going to see if I am as balanced as I like to think I am, or if I need to maybe shift things up a bit.
And I'll tiptoe up the stairs and creep in and see if you're following it.
All right. If you have a question or something you would like us to discuss, you can find us on thetraumaspeakers.com.
Thanks for joining us. I want to give a shout out to Mental Health News Radio Network. And remember that the path you take is yours, and you get to decide which way you want to go with it.
Thanks, Mom.